Welcome, everyone. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I am a member of the HEAL Data Stewardship Group. Thank you all today for joining us for the fifth installment in our Fresh Fair tutorial series, HEAL Toolkit, Empowering Investigators with Data Sharing Resources. Next slide, please. We will be using several polls today to gather your feedback. If you see one pop up, please take a moment to submit the poll and submit your answer. Next slide, please. So today's tutorial will explore the tools and resources designed to guide you through your data sharing process. The tutorial begins with an overview of the HEAL data ecosystem, followed by lightning talks from Sarah Volk de Garcia and Lizelle May Foss. These lightning talks will highlight resources for completing each step of the checklist for HEAL compliant data sharing. The tutorial will conclude with 2 breakout rooms dedicated to addressing specific questions about steps in the checklist. Please note that the first part of today's tutorial will be recorded and will be shared with all registrants. Next slide, please. Our presenters today are Sarah Volk de Garcia, who is a part of the HEAL Data Platform team and the User and Data Services Group at the University of Chicago Center for Translational Data Science. In this role, she provides user and data support services for assorted Gen 3 platform projects, including HEAL. Along with the rest of the platform team, she helps the HEAL study investigators register their studies, complete their study level metadata forms, upload variable level metadata, and access and use the HEAL workspace. Sarah's experience in software user support, technical writing, grant-funded programs, and scientific communication and education, along with her training in public health and biochemistry, as well as her familiarity with academia, has prepared her to deliver cheerful and competent service to HEAL investigators. Lizelle May Foss is a HEAL steward in the data management group at the Renaissance Computing Institute at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Foss has 5 years of experience working in both industry-led and academia-focused clinical research trials. Working previously for a large contract research organization, she was involved in the management of several study sites within a given trial, ensuring that proper documentation and clinical procedures were followed. She has worked closely with PIs to ensure that study visits and other study-related tasks ran smoothly and efficiently during her time as a clinical research coordinator for a medical university. As a HEAL steward, Foss integrates her background to support investigators in the HEAL ecosystem by providing guidance and strategy for data management. Next slide, please. In addition to the information that we are going to provide today, we are going to discuss information about pre-award requirements that are required for HEAL investigators. As of January 2023, investigators must include a data management and sharing plan in their funding proposal. There are 6 sections that must be completed and included in the final submission of the funding proposal. The HEAL Data Fair website and the NIH Public Access and Data Sharing Policy website highlight resources to help investigators create this plan. In addition, there may be additional resources available at your institution, organization, or workplace. These could include data librarians, medical school librarians, or staff in the Internal Review Board or IRB office. Next slide, please. Before we continue, we would like you to answer the following poll question that will pop up on your screen. This will help us tailor questions and highlighted resources during our breakout session today. We're going to pause and give you a few minutes to answer this question. Question number 1 is, do you have a HEAL award? And question number 2 is, do you know where you are in the HEAL PI checklist? Okay. Next slide, please. We have a HEAL checklist progress tracker that is an online and interactive tool that allows searches by award number to review data sharing progress for HEAL supported studies. There's a link that will be added to the chat, and you can type in your award number to see the status of the checklist completion of your award. It should be noted that not all steps will apply to every award. There are nuances and considerations around data sharing that are dependent on the award. For example, some data may not be legally shareable, but it is possible to register the study on the HEAL data platform and share study level metadata. There is support available to navigate this process with 2 dedicated teams ready to assist in completing the checklist. Next slide, please. HEAL, or Helping End Addiction Long Term, is a large cross-NIH initiative with a diverse set of needs around data management and sharing. The HEAL data ecosystem connects data across the HEAL research portfolio, enabling HEAL data to be accessed, analyzed, and used to make new discoveries. Next slide, please. In the HEAL data ecosystem, data are stored in HEAL-compliant repositories that were selected to meet the diverse needs of HEAL researchers. The HEAL data ecosystem is made up of 2 tools, the HEAL data platform and HEAL semantic search. The HEAL data platform provides a secure environment where users can search for and discover NIH HEAL-funded studies, as well as access and analyze data from those studies. The HEAL data platform connects to a HEAL-compliant repositories where data are stored, providing a single point of access to the diverse array of studies and data funded by the HEAL initiative. HEAL Semantic Search is an easy-to-use concept-based search tool that connects information about HEAL studies and biomedical concepts. Unlike traditional keyword searching, HEAL Semantic Search uses synonyms and concepts related to HEAL research to uncover connections between biomedical concepts found in studies metadata with those in biomedical ontologies. The teams that built these tools are also here to support you in managing and sharing your data and aligning with the HEAL data ecosystem processes. Next slide, please. The HEAL data ecosystem offers robust support through teams, the HEAL data platform and the HEAL stewards. The HEAL data platform assists with study registration, submitting study level metadata or SLMD via our CEDAR form, identifying applicable common data elements, and updating study information after repository selection and data deposition. HEAL stewards provide guidance on repository selection, applying HEAL common data elements, preparing variable level metadata via a data dictionary, and implementing the best practices for data management and repository deposition. The HEAL stewards also maintain and refine the HEAL semantic search tool. Now I'll hand it over to Sarah Volk de Garcia to walk through some of the features of the HEAL data platform and how the HEAL data platform team can help investigators meet their HEAL data sharing requirements.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. So I am Sarah Volk de Garcia, and I'm with the HEAL Data Platform, and I'm going to tell you some of the ways that the platform team can help you do the things you need to do to be compliant with your HEAL award. So here is the checklist, and what I've got boxed here are several steps that either happen on the platform or that the platform team can help you with. And I wanted to make sure to note that on this step, so this step is submit variable level metadata. And I wanted to make sure to note that there's 2 types of variable level metadata. There's a data dictionary, and then there are CDE instruments. And so I'll be talking more about those shortly. So the first thing you can do on the data platform is to access or to register your study. And so this is a very simple thing. We have documentation and a video tutorial that'll walk through this, but I also can tell you the 3 steps right here. First, you're going to request access to register your study. Then, if you don't have a CEDAR account, you create a CEDAR account. And then once you've gotten access to register, you finish the registration process using your Cedar account. Um, and so once you have registered your study, it actually will create a Cedar form for you. And so so study level metadata, or SLMD, is what we use to help make your data fair. It's just information about your study. It's not your data. So for example, it describes whether your study is a clinical trial or a basic biochemical study. It helps identify whether you're working towards investigating a treatment or you're actually investigating a particular health condition. Are you studying pain or opioid addiction? It lets you share how big your study is and other things like that. So study level metadata is provided through this Cedar form that is created after you register your study. And it uses information that's generally available in your study proposal. So you don't need to have started collecting data at all yet. And so um, to get at, hold on, let me move my Zoom thing. To submit your study level metadata, you just open the Cedar form. And so on the Cedar site, you would go to Shared with Me, and then it will be one of the tiles. And so you just double click it to open it. And so then there are 9 different sections that these are collapsed here, but there are 9 different sections where you answer questions to enter your SLMD. And it's all like almost all of it is like select a radioed button. You don't really need to enter free text. And then just make sure that you're saving because it does not save automatically. And so after you submit your study level metadata on Cedar, in about 24 hours, it'll be synced up on the Heal Data platform. Another item on the checklist is reporting your repository selection. So once you've decided what repository you want to use, you need to tell us. And so there are 2 ways you can do this, and it is based on whether your study is already registered or not. If your study hasn't been registered yet and you've selected your repo, well, then good news, you just report your repository when you register your study. This is a field that you can enter. Um, if your study is already registered and now you've selected a repository, then all you have to do is email us at heal-support@gen3.org so we can update it for you. One thing I'll say is some people are submitting data to more than one repository because you have different types of data that is appropriate for different repositories. If that's the case, just email us and if you have multiple repositories, we'll be able to deal with that. We can also help you submit your data dictionary, which again, as I said earlier, is a type of variable level metadata. And so variable level metadata is information about your study variables. It describes the specific type of data you're collecting. And so you can submit your data dictionary to us through some platform tools. So first, you're going to need to make sure that your data dictionary is HEAL compliant, and you can do that with our HEAL VLMD tool. Then you'll request access to submit VLMD. This is just like when you registered your study. It's exactly the same process. And then when you get your access, you will upload your data dictionary. And so a couple of points, you want to upload only one file at a time. And make sure that there is not data in whatever file you're uploading. You should not be sending data to us. We do not hold your data. You send your data to your repositories. You upload your data dictionary to the Heal data platform. We'll accept CSV, TSV, and JSON files. And actually, the stewards are going to be talking about this shortly, but you can also just email your data dictionary to them. Another type of VLMD are CDE instruments. And so CDE stands for Common Data Elements, and they help to standardize collection for some types of data to make your data more comparable across studies. And so a new feature on the platform is that you can report CDE instruments that you used in your study. So to do this, again, you just request access to submit VLMD. And then you'll be able to select your CDEs from a pick list that might look like this. And so there are some CDEs in a pick list, and then if the CDE you used isn't there, you can start typing it down here and it will find it. I want to be sure that you note if you are a pain study and you're required to submit your CDE usage to the HEAL CDE team, don't use the pick list. We'll get that information automatically. We don't need you to duplicate your efforts. So if this is you, don't worry about this. And so another feature is after you have submitted your data to the repository, right? You've deposited it there. The repository will give you a link to your data. And so that does not get automatically like added to the Heal Data platform. You need to tell us that it exists and we'll add it to your study. And so this is very easy. Just email us at heal-support@gen3.org. We will add your study or add the data link to your study. We appreciate if you can tell us specifically which study this data link is for. And so you can find your Heal Data Platform number. And so some general platform resources. I know you'll be sent the slides. So our platform website, a link to our documentation, and our email. I want to make sure that everybody notes that our email has changed. Our support email has changed. So it's now heal-support@gen3.org. It is no longer the datacommons.io. So if you had the old email bookmarked, please make sure you update it. And then there are a number of resources that we have for different platform activities that I just described. So there's documentation and videos for study registration. There's documentation, detailed instructions, and a video for submitting your study level metadata. You can there's documentation for how to report your repository. And documentation for how to submit a data dictionary and how to report CDEs. Reminder that this is only for those non-pain studies. If you're already submitting to the CDE group, don't duplicate. And then documentation for how to report data links. And you can always email us at our support email. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Lizelle.
Thank you, Sarah, for highlighting the platform's resources. Next slide. Now, transitioning to the HEAL Stewards resources, on the screen, you'll see boxed sections that highlight key steps in your HEAL journey, where the HEAL Stewards offer tools and guidance to support you. In my portion of the presentation, I'll cover topics such as repository selection, the use of CDEs, variable level metadata, and the process for submitting data and metadata to the appropriate repository. Next slide. Many of the resources I'll be showcasing are available on the HEAL Stewards website, shown on the screen, and will be linked in the chat, healdatafair.org. Next slide. You'll see that upon landing on the healdatafair.org site, there is a tab at the top of the screen called Resources. This is where a lot of the information that I will be showing is located. Next slide. So returning to the checklist, I'll now walk you through the resources available for this step on the PI checklist, specifically focused on selecting the appropriate repository for your study. Next. On the resource page, you'll find a dedicated tile for repositories. Clicking on this section will direct you to the HEAL Data Repository Selection Guide and the Repository Selection Tool. Next slide, please. So in this slide, I'll be discussing the HEAL Data Repository Selection Guide. What you see on the screen is a recorded clip showcasing the page. This resource provides a table of the most up-to-date HEAL compliant repositories, offering an overview of each repository's focus, compliance features, and links to detailed information through re3 data and a global registry of research data repositories, and Fair Sharing, a resource with curated and crowdsourced evaluations of repository features. So this page delivers a comprehensive insight into repository attributes, enabling your study team to make informed decisions when selecting a HEAL compliant data repository that best meets your study's needs. Next slide, please. Transitioning now to the repository selection tool itself, this interactive decision tree is designed to help study teams identify the most suitable HEAL compliant repository for their data. So this guides users through key considerations and repository options tailored to their specific project needs. So on the screen, you'll see a recorded clip showcasing how the selection tool works. It highlights the step-by-step process for supporting informed decision-making. So to wrap up this portion, the repository selection guide and tool are resources available for helping your study team navigate the complexities of selecting a HEAL compliant repository. Next slide. Returning to the checklist, I'll now guide you through the resources available for these steps on the PI checklist, specifically focusing on the use of HEAL CDEs and variable level metadata, or VLMD, as you've heard Sarah also abbreviate it to. So next slide. I'd like to draw your attention back to the Stewards resource page. Just as there was a tile dedicated to repositories, there's also a tile specifically for metadata resources. And I'm excited to share that this page has been newly updated as of yesterday. My colleague will be putting that link in the chat. Earlier in the presentation, Sarah touched on what we meant by variable level metadata. And if you've already forgotten, don't worry, that's exactly what this metadata resource page is here to help with. And so to briefly reiterate Sarah's point, variable level metadata encompasses both common data elements and data dictionaries. So navigating to this section will take you to the metadata resource guide, where you can explore more about each type of metadata and see examples. And I'll show you that on the next slide. So by clicking on that tile, you'll be directed to this screen. And as you see on the left-hand side, you'll see various tabs, each of which can be expanded to provide more information on a specific topic. So for example, clicking on variable level metadata will give you detailed information about VLMD, along with an infographic that further explains the concept. And just as shown on the screen, you can click on that infographic to expand it, because I know it's kind of small if you just have it on, if you just pull it up, but you can expand it by clicking on it to get a closer in-depth look. Next slide, please. And similarly, clicking on the Common Data Elements or CDEs tab will provide more information about CDEs, along with an infographic as well that further explains the concept. And as with the previous example, you can click on the image to expand it to another screen so you can see it in a bigger format. Next slide. In addition to the Stewards resources that was just shown, I'd like to highlight this website. This is the official NIH HEAL Common Data Elements program website. Just to be clear, the HEAL CDE team is led by the NIH in collaboration with a team at the University of Utah. And so the HEAL CDE program oversees the collection and standardization of CDEs for clinical pain research across HEAL studies. So this site provides valuable resources to help you adopt CDEs. And from here, you can access the HEAL CDE repository, which houses the standardized data elements that you can implement in your projects. And for any questions about HEAL CDEs, the HEAL CDE team's contact information is displayed on the screen. Next slide. When submitting your variable level metadata, whether it's your data dictionary or CDEs, the HEAL data ecosystem will utilize that information to help generate reusable research data. And so there are two avenues you can take depending on where you are in your HEAL journey and who you are in contact with. So you can either email the stewards with your variable level metadata or follow the instructions on the variable level metadata submission page linked on the screen. And don't worry, if you can't capture all of these details right now, we will be sending out the slide deck with the links after this presentation. And additionally, you can notify either team if variable level metadata is included in your data deposit to a HEAL compliant repository. Keeping in mind that some, but not all repositories have a built-in method for collecting variable level metadata. So that's something you should check out so you're not duplicating efforts. Next slide. So returning back to the checklist, I'll now guide you through the resources available for this step, specifically focusing on submitting data and metadata into a repository. Next slide. And again, I'd like to direct your attention back to the steward's resource page once more. Among the resource tiles, you'll find one dedicated to sensitive data. If you're preparing to submit your data but have questions about the nuances of sharing sensitive data types, this resource is an excellent starting point. Clicking on the sensitive data resource tile will take you to the sensitive data resource page, where you'll also find a sensitive data decision tool. Next slide. So the sensitive data guide is designed to support researchers in sharing their data while ensuring the highest standards of privacy and protection for sensitive information. While it is not intended to serve as a definitive, all-encompassing resource, its purpose is to provide an initial overview of commonly encountered sensitive data types and to outline current and future resources that facilitate secure data sharing. So on the screen, you'll see a video recording of how this page looks like, which includes additional tabs for each common sensitive data topic. And clicking on each tab will expand it to reveal more detailed information, along with external resources helping you to learn more about specific types of sensitive data. Next slide. So we also have the sensitive data decision tool, which functions similarly to the repository selection tool. So you'll answer questions about your data type, and the tool will help identify whether there are any nuances in the NIH data sharing requirements that may apply to that specific sensitive data. So on the screen, you'll see a recording of how this decision tree tool looks like. You will select answers to the question to kind of give a response to see if there are any nuances. And again, it's not intended to be a definitive, all-encompassing resource, but it serves as a proactive first step to help you plan for your study's data submission. Next slide. So returning to the main resource page on the steward's site, you'll find a tile dedicated to previous recordings of all HEAL Fresh Fair webinar, such as this one, and tutorial series. And one particularly valuable resource on data and metadata submission is actually our most recent webinar, which was last month, titled When and What to Share, Understanding HEAL Data Sharing Requirements. So if you watch this, it will help you understand when and what to share for your HEAL-funded study. It includes expert insights from repository representatives. So it's really useful if you haven't seen that yet. And you'll also gain practical tips for submitting data tailored to your study's needs, including guidance on handling sensitive data and even qualitative data. So next slide. Speaking of recorded webinars and tutorials, this page is an excellent resource. Just as we're recording the first portion of this tutorial, all of our previous webinars and tutorials have also been recorded and are available on our YouTube page. So what you see on the screen is the layout of the Fresh Fair webinar series page where you can find links to all of those recordings. So don't forget about all our previous webinars. They also serve as a really great resource. Next slide. So to wrap up my portion of the presentation, I want to emphasize that wherever you are on your HEAL journey, the HEAL stewards are here to assist you. If we can't provide you the support you need, we'll gladly connect you with someone or a team who can. Specifically, the HEAL stewards can help you with understanding how the checklist for HEAL compliant data and HEAL data ecosystem requirements apply to a specific study or data set. We can help you interpret our HEAL data ecosystem data policies, requirements, and expectations, help you navigate through the checklist, apply the best principles for open science and FAIR principles, and help with locating additional support, guidance, and resources. And so I'd like to end my portion by thanking you all for your time, and I'll now hand the presentation back to my colleague, Sarah Meyer.
Thank you, Lizelle. So some of our key takeaways today is that the HEAL data ecosystem offers robust support through our two teams, the HEAL data platform and the HEAL data stewards. In addition, there is a HEAL checklist for HEAL compliant data sharing, which outlines data sharing requirements and resources to complete the steps. There is an interactive checklist progress tracker that allows teams and investigators to see what steps have been completed. The HEAL data platform is here to help and can assist with study registration, submitting study level metadata via the CEDAR form, identifying applicable common data elements, uploading and other variable level metadata, and updating study information after repository selection and data deposition. The HEAL stewards provide guidance on repository selection, applying HEAL CDEs, preparing variable level metadata via a data dictionary, and implementing best practices for data management and repository deposition. Next slide, please. This slide is a comprehensive slide and a summary of resources that are available for investigators and teams. You will notice in the upper right hand of the screen, there's the contact information for the HEAL data platform team and the HEAL stewards. We are here to help. We are here to assist you. So please contact us with any questions that you have. Next slide, please. So we are going to stop the recording shortly and transition into breakout rooms. Please refer to the Easy Retro board located in the chat to see the types of questions that will be answered in each breakout room. And here is a brief guide on how to use the Easy Retro board. You can add ideas by clicking on the plus sign to the relevant column and fill out your idea. It will appear as a card for others to comment on or to vote. Or you can comment or upvote other ideas. You can upvote someone else's idea with the thumbs up icon, and you can comment on an idea by using the quote bubble icon. Next slide, please. So in a moment, we will open up the breakout rooms and you will be able to select which breakout room you would like to attend. If you have any issues moving to a room, please put your desired room in the chat. And Chelsea Davis will ensure that you get there. Once in your breakout rooms, there's a facilitator who will provide more information on how they will function. If at any point you would like to switch between breakout rooms, please come back to the main room and Chelsea will move you. Please note that once we break into breakout rooms, we are not returning to the main room and the tutorial will conclude from the breakout room. Your two options for today are Room A, which is working with the HEAL stewards, and Room B is working with members of the HEAL data platform. Thank you very much for attending today.